a coaching call this week with one of our favorite coaching clients. This is one of a group of people that we have really enjoyed watching grow. He came to me and told me he was at 10,000 months in sales, which is great. He worked really hard to get there, had some real struggles to get past, and I'm really impressed with where he's gotten. But he felt stuck. He felt a little stuck. And I know that this could be one of those things where you get stuck, but he said, I want to be at 50. I've got the tools, I've got the processes, I've got the help, so why am I sitting at 10? And here's the part that got me. He's an engineer. I always get these engineer brains, right? So in his head, the math was simple. 50 is just 10, 5 times over. I mean, It makes sense when you say it like that. Do what I'm already doing 5 times as much, and I'm there.
Except it really doesn't work that way. It never has, right?
It never has. And by the end of the call, you'll see why this is funny as we tell you the analogies we used. He said he felt like he'd been hit by a 2x4 in the best way. And that's today's episode.
All right. Welcome back to Silent Sales Machine Radio. We are your co-hosts, the official Olsons. I'm Brian.
And I'm Robin Joy.
And this is Coach's Corner.
All right, Brian. So what do you think about that?
Think about what? What do I think about? What am I thinking about?
What do you think? You're like a girl who just got engaged and she's showing off her engagement ring. What is this on your head?
So this is a little swag for Path Profit Zones, which is one of these strange things. Everyone has the hardest time calling it by its name.
PPZ.
PPZ. Let's just call it PPZ.
PPZ.
People call it the Path thing.
The Path is fine. The Path thing. That's right.
The Path thing. Yeah, anyway, these are like trucker hats or whatever that we got. I thought I'd kick off the show with that on. We got some mugs on the way too, so hopefully...
Yeah, we'll be offering those on
I don't have to mess up my hair.
The website, officialolsons.com. All O's, no E's.
That's right.
Yeah, mess up that
little bit of hair.
Hairs you got up there.
Yeah. Anyway, how's it going, Robin? You had a great coaching session.
Oh, I did. And you know what? This person I was so happy to see on my calendar. He's always just leaning in, wanting to move forward, and actually moving forward. He encourages everybody around him. He's just great. But he was feeling stuck. So what did he do? What you're supposed to do. Call his coach. Let's talk it through, coach. Let's see what we can come up with here.
So I actually listened to this call myself, which like when one of us has like, you should listen to this call, we usually do. And so I went back and listened to this, and a couple of things I want to just use as part of the frame up here. He is profitable. Okay. He also says, I just love when I'm listening to your podcast because it feels like you're talking directly to me. In this episode, we're talking
about you.
Talking about you, yes. And I hope that a lot of people feel that way because these are stories coming from actual coaching clients. It's not like we're making this stuff up. And it's not like we're teaching you just from what we learned or how we operate our business, although we will lean on that from time to time.
Sure.
We'll also show you or talk to you about what we've seen work in other people's businesses.
And we're really fortunate because we get to see a lot of people try a lot of things, and we see what works and what doesn't work. And we have a lot to draw from.
You compared it to, because I grew up my professional career in the managed services space.
Yeah.
And
tell us what that means.
In the IT space. So in other words, companies who aren't large enough to employ a whole IT department, they outsource it. And they outsource that IT to companies like the ones that I've worked for in the past, including the one right now. And that space is really interesting if you are a professional in the IT realm because you get to see so many different environments and you get to see what is best of breed. You get to see what best practices are. You get to see and consult at a level that most people never get to. And I'm not bashing the full-time IT folks who work for our company.
Oh, yeah.
But they don't see a fraction of what we see.
No.
Or they only see a fraction of what we see, to be honest, right?
They don't have that one benefit. I would say there are benefits, too, being the in-house IT as well.
Oh, for sure. You can really specialize in it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that part of it you don't see. And so you're comparing that to...
So as coaches, we get to see all these businesses, too. Yeah. It's not just our own business that we're giving advice from. We've seen what works. We've seen what people implement as well as ourselves. And that's then that consulting model that we take it from.
And we see what's changing in what works.
And we get early signs. We know pretty much as soon as it's happening.
Yeah,
what's
we get
going on.
people telling us, yeah. And so we get a lot out of coaching.
So let me just go back. There was one other really important thing about this, because this is the easy exit for a lot of people. And that is that this person got a Section 3.
Yeah.
And what he thought was going to be a quick recovery, in the end, it was a fairly short amount of time, but way longer than anyone would have
Oh, it
liked.
seemed like forever, because you don't know.
Especially when
Is
you're
it
in
going to
it.
be a long? How long is it from now? You have no idea
Yeah.
until they say, okay, you're back.
And like I said, in the grand scheme of things, it was a blip. But for him in the moment, it was real and painful and scary.
Yeah.
And it really forced him to go learn a bunch of other things. It didn't force him, but he chose to. That
You got to be proud of that,
he
right?
may not have otherwise really dug into. And I would just encourage any of you out there, as you're listening to this story, don't wait until something like this happens to expand your business and become diversified when the time is right, not when you don't know what you're doing yet in this business. And he was already at or approaching that 10K level when this happened to him.
Yeah, and he's back to 12 and more now.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so
All right.
now set the stage.
Okay. So, like we said, this builder is not a lazy guy, and he's not really new. He's not lost. He's good. And that's what makes this so common. The better you are, the more this trap hides.
Okay.
It's a frequency framing. I can think of 3 people going through this exact pain point right now.
Yep.
At least 3. I can name them right now. And maybe you're one of them.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going through this too.
Yeah. So it's like this really seductive logic that is out there, where if you don't spend more than $4,500 or so for $3,000 to $4,500, whatever it is, so maybe up to $5K, depending on your business model.
These are obviously not hard numbers.
Yeah.
But
then you're not going to make more than 10, right? It's this multiple rule where you'd like to see yourself doing at least 2x, if not 2.5x, the cost of your product to sales price. So 50 must mean then super easy. Let me just spend 5 times the amount of capital and grow my business that way. And it's hard to do that, and it doesn't really work out that way.
yeah, and that's not untrue at all. But here's what we forget. You can't just divide by 5 and add 10% a month until you're there. It doesn't, unfortunately, business doesn't work that way. It works more like the bamboo growing in the ground.
Oh, yeah.
You don't see anything for years and years, and then all of a sudden it shoots up 6, 8, 10 feet. So we know that it didn't work that way to get the first 10,000, and it's not going to work that way to get the next.
That reminds me of the whatever got you here is not going to get you there conversation.
Yeah.
But 2 things. I think it's helpful to think about it in that way, right? But in practice, so in theory, that makes sense. In practice, it's something completely different, right?
Yeah.
But so what got you to your first 10 is not going to get to your first 50. And that's what we say about $1 million all the time. If the first million is the hardest, great, we're going to start with the second million. It just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. So anyway.
Yeah. But that's really the point of what we're trying to get to. Getting to 10,000 is like pouring the footings in your house, right? You've built houses before.
I built a house before. That's right.
Spec houses and a house for us. And the first thing you got to do is pour concrete, right? You got a lot of preparation to get to where you can pour concrete.
Yeah, actually got to get in there and study the lot and make sure that you know where you're digging and what sort of backfill you need. And there's all this engineering that goes into it before you even pour the concrete.
Yeah,
right?
And you got to plan it. You got to know what you're going to build before you pour that concrete.
Yeah.
Because if you pour a 20,000 square foot house, in your
20,000 square foot house, yes, I want one of those.
If you were going to build a 3,000 square foot house,
okay.
Obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about, but you had plans for a 5,000 square foot house. You got to figure out where that other 2,000 is going to be upstairs. Is it going to be cantilevered? What's going to happen with that other 2,000?
Look at you, cantilevered.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I learned one term during that time. I know that term because when we built our house, the builder we were working with came and he said, "Oh, I could have just cantilevered that." I was like,
"Yeah, it would have been nice to know that then." Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So what is my point? First thing you got to do is get to the point where you have a foundation.
Yeah.
$10,000 a month in sales is just getting you ready to build. You might be framing up at that time, right? Then you're
just beginning to put the frame in place, probably, right?
Yeah. Because some of that has to do while you're doing concrete, and you've decided some of the places where the plumbing is and the gas is going to be, because these are going to be permanent.
Has to go in, be built in foundation in some plumbing aspect, yeah.
And in the business, it's not exactly like that, because you can make change, but a foundation is a foundation, and you got to go with your plan or change it on purpose.
Yep. Yeah.
So we got that. We got that concrete poured. We've got started with our framing, but it's still, when it gets cold out, we don't have anything to protect us. It's not a good shelter just yet, right?
I love the way that you did bring this around, and I was like really impressed to hear you going with the whole building analogy, because
I know nothing about it.
Well, but it makes a ton of sense. That foundation is not the infrastructure, and it's a whole different set of things that need to take place in order for you to get to the point where you can get finished.
Yeah.
The finish out is a whole separate thing from the infrastructure, which is a whole separate thing from the foundation, right?
Which is a whole separate thing from the framing and the roofing and the siding.
So anyway, but at some point, the cash is going to flip on this, right? At $10,000, the business theoretically is funding itself, providing you some profit that you're rolling back into the business. So you had to stop feeding it from your own pocket. I got this thing right.
That's what I say. Yeah. In that beginning, that first, when you're starting out and trying to get to 10,000, you're taking money out of your pocket. Now, again, it's 10,000, 50,000 numbers that we're throwing around are hard numbers. So I'll give you an idea.
Yeah.
You're taking money out of your pocket to pay for your tools and your infrastructure and your inventory. You're taking money out of your pocket, so you want to keep that risk really low.
And that's typically the cost that you haven't built in yet, right? You put in the cash for the foundation, but now you need fresh cash for testing, for the growth part, separate cash that was already making your 10, right? For your infrastructure, for all of that stuff, because that wasn't what got you to 10K.
You have to fund the growth.
You got to fund the growth.
You got to fund the growth. Okay. So everything flips over. You have to stop looking at every single ASIN at this point. $50,000 a month in sales. You are not looking at every single ASIN that comes through. In this case, he had a teammate that was giving him ASINs to look at. He's already taught this teammate how to make this decision. He already has a standard decision maker here, and only exceptions should come to here. But at 50, and if you try to look at every ASIN at 50, you're going to be the bottleneck.
It's one of the challenges that I find that type A personality struggles with here. Am I the type A? I thought you were the type A.
It depends on the subject, I think.
It's different. It's okay, I think, to be in that upper 90% place when you're talking about what is good enough when you are working at that scale. Not everything is going to be perfect. 98, 99% of the time, that's going to be usually the math that is going to be more than what's needed for you to still experience success, right?
So I think there's a new way you have to start looking at what's coming in.
Okay.
And that's your conversion rate. Okay. I need to know, I know I'm testing in the beginning. We tell you test a certain number, make a plan for how many you're going to test, and some of those will become replenishable. Now we have to adjust that, because now we're looking at what is our conversion rate. How many can we test with, now that we've got some experience and we know what that is and we have a law of averages to work with? How many do we test in order to get a conversion to a replenishable? If we have that number worked out, then we can see a little bit better about what it's going to take to get that conversion ratio down and closer to 100%. If it's 50%, you want 60%. 60%, you want 70%.
I'd say a couple of things about that. One,
look at you, shrugging your shoulders.
I just want to challenge it, because we're always up for you challenge my points, so I'm going to challenge your points.
All right.
Okay. The number is in and of itself not that important, the percentage. Just knowing what it is, most important. So you could back into the number of, okay, that means I got to look at this many ASINs, I got to test this many because this many are going to convert. The other reason I really like a conversion rate as something to measure is that it tells you how good your sourcing part is. Because if your conversion rate is really low, it says your sourcing funnel is could probably use some improvement. That said, I don't ever expect to be 100%. I don't even think you need to be at 80% to run a successful business. We're not.
No.
But you can be, like in the old days, I used to say 70% was good. And that's when I was doing a lot of manual sourcing. Today, I'm happy with 50%. 50%, I can still make good money as a business overall if 50% of my tests fail.
Yeah, because remember, a failed test doesn't lose money necessarily.
Exactly. It helps me out.
Yeah, you still get that sale. Still get a lot of benefits from that test that didn't become replenishable. So
that was my only challenge, which is
okay. All right. So I'll buy that. Yeah, you don't necessarily need to improve that. You just need to know that so you can make a plan accordingly.
Yeah.
And it is a place where you can continually improve.
Yeah.
All right. But here's what happens in this thing. It makes that whole employee hat, boss hat become very important. Remember, when we work for someone else, we're usually the best employee.
Yep.
And when we're the boss for somebody else, we're usually the best boss. But when we're our own employee and we're our own boss, we're usually the worst of each. Right? So that's what we have to work on. We have to work on what we're doing when we have the employee hat on. And when you're getting ready to scale, you got to learn how to take that employee hat off as much as possible and wear that less and less. Okay? You're not going to stop mid-shipment and go, I should do this differently. Let's just change the whole process right in the middle, because that's not what you're doing right now. You're just being the employee, get the shipment out. So I give him the example of Jack Welch. Jack Welch.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna take over for you here because I love the Jack Welch example.
All right. Sure. Take it away.
Yes. Jack Welch is famous or known for running General Electric, like a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate, right? So they sell a lot of electrical supplies and electrical things, but he doesn't know how to wire a building.
Oh, Jack Welch. I would not call Jack Welch to inspect my wiring.
Jack's job is completely different. Okay. It's not about wiring the building. It's about running the company. And I don't know if the notes made it into what we're going to talk about today. I don't think they did. But one of the talk tracks I remember coming out of two that I want to circle around.
Okay.
Number one is that he was getting purchase recommendations from his teammate, of which...
the student.
Yeah, the student was. Of which he was getting... of which he was only choosing about 50%. And then he had this aha moment where he's like, why wouldn't I take them all? I trained him on exactly how to do this, right? I trained him on how to do this, so why am I being picky? But these are the same ones I would have picked.
I trust him. Yeah. Why am I only picking half of them?
So if part of my plan is growth, then I'm limiting my growth by being picky about what he sends me. I'm not saying you shouldn't be picky. That's not what I'm saying. But if they were the same ones,
look at every single one once you trust that he's doing what you would do.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was, as long as you're talking about the employee and the boss hat, is that he did mention that he would lay in bed at night and beat himself up because he didn't get more done during the day. And this is when I was listening to it, I wanted to make sure that we spent a bit of time here, and I'm going to have to get back to, I'm going to have to talk my way to it. But this idea, you brought this up before, that you would never let your boss at work treat you that way. So why do you let you treat yourself that way, where you're beating yourself up at night? And I remember now exactly the point I wanted to make here, which is this. When you are beating yourself up, and we all do it, you are basically telling yourself that you don't deserve it. And when you tell yourself that you don't deserve it, then it's not going to happen for you. And this is how the self-sabotage kicks in. And you're like, wow, you don't even see it, right? It took him talking to you and maybe even me to add this additional perspective to it, that when you are telling yourself you don't deserve it, it is hard because we grew up that way. Because our parents always said, you got to work hard. You got to put in the hours. You're not just going to get rich overnight, and all the bad things that go along with, being an abundant person. Yeah. Or at least in my family, in the economic culture that I grew up in, or socioeconomic, I guess is the word I was looking for, that was not the way things worked. You didn't deserve anything unless you broke your back to get it.
Yes. Yes, you must work harder than anybody else. And you must, this was ingrained in a lot of us. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. And so you're telling yourself that you don't deserve it.
When you're beating yourself up, every time you do that, you're basically telling yourself you don't deserve it, because what you're doing is being critical of what you didn't do. You didn't do this and you didn't do that, and you should have done more of this, and which is all basically the same language for this is why you're not going to get what you want.
So I'm going to bring this on further along.
Okay.
He said to me, I think that a lot of the reason that I have gotten to where I've gotten in life in general, he's got a very successful career and family, is because I have high standards.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought this up. Yeah.
And he does. He has high standards, and I absolutely respect that.
Yeah.
But I think that we have to remember that having high standards and being critical and sabotaging of ourselves are two different things. You have high standards for the people who work for you, who are your teammates, who are your family members. You have high standards. You don't beat them up when they don't meet the standard. You find a way to help them get to the standard.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do for yourself
100%.
as well. That's what I think.
Yes, I totally. Yeah, I'm really glad you brought it back to there, because that was the conversation we were having offline, was that it's two parts. It's keep telling yourself you don't deserve it, then you're not going to get it. And
you're not going to let yourself have it.
You're not going to let yourself have it.
You're resisting.
But there's absolutely nothing wrong with having high standards. You should have high standards.
And those are two different things.
And you should cut yourself slack when you don't meet them. Hopefully your standards, the standards you have for yourself, are higher than anyone could ever set.
Absolutely.
For you.
And that you are constantly finding ways to meet those standards.
Yeah.
As opposed to tearing yourself down because you didn't meet one.
I love this conversation. It's not anything mechanically to do with Amazon. But it has
so much to do with this whole process, right?
Squishy mindset stuff, but it's so impactful, and yeah.
Obviously, you're passionate about that.
I am pretty passionate about it. Yeah.
All right. Here's what happened.
Okay.
By the end of the call, as I often do.
Yep.
I gave him a mission. Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
Yep.
Is to have an annual meeting with yourself, okay?
Yeah.
With your teammates, with whomever you have involved in your business, including your coach. That's even if you have to talk to the wall. Now, this is a person, this particular person.
Yeah.
I know he knows his way around a presentation. He can put things together, and he comes from sales. He knows what he's talking about. He knows how to get you where he is. And so what I wanted him to do was build the plan. Figure out what's between you and $50,000 a month in sales. It's not work harder. Work harder doesn't do it. That's not a plan. Right. Work harder is not a plan. As much as I can is not a plan.
That's right. So I think there's probably a punch list that you're getting to here. If I were to read ahead, which I did.
This is what you used to do when you're building houses, right?
100%. Yeah.
Punch list.
You don't make it up as you go along.
We forgot that whole part of the analogy, right? Yeah. You're building the house.
Yeah.
You start building the walls. Then you got to bring in the trades.
Yeah.
Different trades than what you had before.
Yeah.
Now you got to bring in the electrician. You got to bring in the plumber. You got to bring in whoever runs the gas. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're all crazy, doing all things at once, and you don't know what it's going to look like. It looks like a mess.
Everyone else is trying to do their job in the same time.
It's just a mess, and it's going to look like a mess. And unless you're the general contractor who knows what's supposed to come out of that mess, it's going to really feel uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
So then they get all their stuff and they go, all right, Mr. Olson, I got the plumbing and I got the electric and I got all this stuff done. And you go, all right. Now I got to do punch lists.
Yes. So and you see it, the punch list when you're walking through a almost finished house.
Yeah.
Because you can see the little blue tape on things like, they got to fix this hole in the wall. They got to fix this paint spot. They got to fix.
They got to reset the sink.
Trim, whatever it is. Yeah. Oh, just the sink.
Carpet.
The sink in and of itself, you think, I'm just going to install a sink, but then actually the sink involves the cabinets, and then the cabinets involve the walls, and then before you know it, you're back to foundation.
And that's not to mention the plumbing that has to come back out of the foundation.
So it's like everything is connected, like bone.
And it's all happening
Bone. So anyway, just to get maybe a little more specific in here, like what you brought it up earlier, find your conversion rate. Okay. So then this is going to help you figure out how many tests per week does it take to grow to hit the number that you're talking about. Where does that cash come from? Okay, who is going to do what as part of this growth process? And what do you do when a week misses target? And you need to decide
ahead of time.
now instead of in the heat of battle, which is what we always say about when you're messing with your products too, when you're testing your products. Already decide what's going to happen or what the way that you're going to respond, so that when your emotions are running high, you don't change your mind. This is the way.
Because you have a plan, you have a blueprint, you have that tells you what that roof is going to look like.
Yeah.
And if you don't do this part right, that roof is not going to go on right. Even though it's not there and you can't see it yet. Even though the sink's not set yet, you can't see it yet. You've got to know what kind of a sink you're going to put in there.
Yep.
Make the decision ahead of time. If it's off a little, how are we going to handle that?
Yeah. So the other thing is, it's maybe a little easier for him at this point to see some of these milestones.
Yeah, easier than it was at 5,000.
Like when he's at 3, he couldn't see 10 probably. No. When he's at 10, he can probably see 20, but he can't see 50 yet, right? And so just remember, it's one milestone at a time.
Yeah.
Yes, we always want our heading. Sorry, let me just put my hand right in front of your face. We always want the heading that we're keeping our pointed at, but it's like when you first start out on a long journey on a boat, yes, you know you're heading in the right direction to go from here to there, but you can't see it. Like when we're on a cruise, they're going to Bermuda, but for days we can't see Bermuda, right? Yeah.
There's just water.
Yeah.
We have to trust that Bermuda's out there somewhere.
And that's because they have a plan.
The boat knows where it's going.
Because they have a plan.
They have a plan.
And they've done that before. And this person has the benefit of several groups of people that he's a part of who have done that before.
With experience.
He's done that before. We've helped other people do that before. So my hope is that he has absolutely no doubt that this is going to happen. It's just a matter of execution.
Yeah. And I think that's true. There's one more advantage he happens to have. And people in his little group, we
can affectionately name them here. I think we have before.
We call them the thoroughbreds. You know who you are.
Yes. Yeah.
These are special people to us that we actually have. We get their feedback on a lot of the things that we have them try things, beta test, whatever. And he's actually beta testing a tool for us that really can help him in this. And that's the Arbitrage Studio.
The Arbitrage Studio, you guys, we launched this in beta back in February, and I'm going to be completely transparent and say it didn't quite land where I wanted it to, but it was my first shot at it, and I still feel like the bones of it are good. But what happened is it met people not at where they were. It met me where I was, and unfortunately, that's not where most people are. And I need to build I need to bridge that gap in there. Nonetheless, this person's at a point where he already can jump in and figure it out. But you gave him some rather sage advice, which is to run it through the simulator. Give yourself one of the challenges that we have in there. For example, we have a $50,000 monthly challenge. Yeah. And let it show you some of the things that you may not be thinking of, right? Yeah. And some of the challenges that you're going to be faced with so that you can know how you're going to handle these decisions. It's not going to work out exactly right.
No,
right? It's never going to be exact. But it's going to at least get you in the mindset of being able to
show you some things that you might not be seeing right now that you can make decisions ahead of time. Yeah. Let me just say about that. You're very humble and you want to mea culpa. But what everyone should know is that you're working on this and it's already way better than it was. We're going to, because of the feedback that we've gotten from our beta testers, now we've got it ready to go to the public, and that's going to be announced, or it's going to be launched to the public at the Proven Conference.
That's right.
Actually, at our workshop, our one-day workshop, the day before the Proven Conference, which is the Modern Builders Workshop.
Yep.
In Las Vegas.
Yes, which is a one-day, as Jim says, laptops open.
Yes.
Okay. Modern Builders Workshop. And we're taking an updated approach. Yeah. It's modern. It ain't the path to 100 ASINs anymore. No. It is still your path. It is still a path to 100 ASINs. Don't get me wrong. Replenishable ASINs, not 100 leads. Anyone I can get 100 leads in 30 seconds.
Oh, sure.
I'm talking about 100 replenishable ASINs, which doesn't happen every night.
How do I make those choices? How do I make those tests? Where do I put my money? And we're going to go through all of those principles as well as get to play with it's like a flight simulator.
I'm going to call it, there are three main parts of this one-day workshop, which is going to be really interesting for us to cram it into a day.
I know.
You thought it was jam-packed before. I remember at the end of day one, walking out with their eyes glazed over.
Yeah.
Wait until we're done with this one. Not that it's going to be too much to handle by any stretch. No. We do a good job of serving it up, Robin especially. Oh. But no, seriously, you know how to serve it up where people can ingest it in a really good way. Like I said, I tend to meet people where I am, unfortunately. But okay, so here's the deal. That's three parts. And the first part is we're going to cover the fundamentals. This was a lot of what we spent all of day one on before was the fundamentals. So it really made sense. We had several coaches and people who were running well-established businesses that come to the workshop over the years. And I was quite impressed that they would sit through that portion of because we're talking about back then sales rank drops and whatever, but monthly sold and what does a keep a chart look like and doing the pre-flight inspection so you don't get yourself selling on misbranded listings yet. People every day, including experienced people, get caught selling on misbranded listings all the time. Yeah. So it can be a great refresher for you to go through and get all that stuff. So we're going to cover that.
Part one. Let me just say it real quickly. Yeah. We can compress that because we wrote the book.
Yes.
Prospect, assess, test, harvest. Yeah. And that allows people to have a reference now. Don't have to get all the materials to them in that workshop. We can compress it a little bit. Okay,
that's right.
So we can put some more in there. What's next?
So then next we're actually getting into the Modern Builder Stack, which is referencing the course that we released back in early May, which is Modern Ungating, how we do bulk sourcing.
Actually 4 courses.
Yeah, it's a stack. That's why I call it a stack. Modern Ungating, sourcing, keep a configuration so it looks like the way you want it and it's set for arbitrage. And then doing a deep dive in Keepa. So all the stuff it's not all of it, like the stuff we put in Keepa 360, because that was quite exhaustive and you probably fell asleep multiple times you were watching it. But this is more impactful, like what can I use day to day from within Keepa. So all that stuff put together. And that's part 2.
About part 2. Okay. There are people who already have the Modern Builder Stack who are still coming to the workshop. Yeah. Because just because you have the videos and the course doesn't mean it answers all your questions. When you get to practice in a room with the people who created the course, along with a whole bunch of other people who are learning this at the same time, and you get to realize, oh, I never thought of it that way. Oh, that's a good question. I never thought of it, but I really do want to know the answer. That's a huge benefit of being able to practice together and do this as a group. So that's part 2 and part 3 of this really short one day.
Real quick, while you're there, I just wanted to go back to that. We call them WPAs, right? With price of admission, things that you pick up while you're at a conference. And this is going to be a bit of a different conference than we've had in the past in terms of the format. Just as valuable, if not more. That said, you should be ready for your WPAs. And one of the WPAs you get by going to the workshop is, I never would have even thought to ask that question. Yep. But now I know something like that. I'm not going to trip over that.
I didn't even know I was missing.
Exactly. Okay. Then the third part is we're going to unveil and pull back the curtain on Arbitrage Studio. It's going live. It's officially reached its age of maturity. We're going to play with that over lunch and breaks. And
okay, so what exactly is that? It's like a flight simulator.
This is your flight simulator for Amazon FBA. So what it does is it helps you understand how your week-to-week operations go. How does testing work? How does liquidating work? How does understanding where your money is work?
What else is being affected when I make that decision?
Your cash flow. How's your cash flow?
Cash flow is a big part of it. That's a big part of understanding how to deal with cash flow. Yeah. This is like a flight simulator. So you can go through the challenges and learn in an hour what it would have taken, what that many reps would have taken you 30 weeks to get. You can learn how that's
get through in 90 minutes.
Yeah. It's so impressive. I've never seen anything like it. And the people that have seen it they're having a really great time with it too. It's like a video game. How can you not like that, right?
Yeah. The idea was to make it like a video game, like a simulator, and that's
Yeah.
the way it's turned out. So
it's fun, and we get to play with it there, and that's where we're launching. So I'll bet the people there get the best deal ever, huh?
Oh, of course they will. Of course they will. We always give tons of value, and especially for the early adopters.
Yeah.
So anyway.
All right. So back to building our house.
Yeah.
Okay. When we're pouring the footings and the house is going up, and once we get that all decided, there's really no going back. It's not a fear thing.
Yeah.
You just need the plan for the next floor to put the floor of the walls up on that floor. You just need that.
And it is like that long ship voyage. So you know exactly where you're going. You don't know what you're going to run into on the way and how you're going to have to respond. And this business is much the same. I know I'm on my way to $50,000 a month. I knew enough to get my foundation built. Now I have to respond on how I'm going to build and finish out the rest of the first floor and then potentially the next floor to get to my next goal.
Yeah. And when you're coachable, like the thoroughbreds are.
Yes.
And you have a one-on-one coach, and you have a plan or a piece of a plan or a start of a plan, and you come and you talk that over with your coach who's been down that road before, you can also often avoid a lot of the issues that you would not have known if you hadn't run it by somebody first.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. So all of that.
Yes.
Brian, do you have a quote for us today?
Oh, yeah. I love all these quotes. This one's
one of my favorite. Everything's your favorite, Brian.
This quote comes to us from James Clear, he of Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits.
A great book to read.
It is.
Quote, goals are for people who care about winning once. Systems and processes are for people who care about winning repeatedly. End quote. Bang. That's like
I know. Like how that says so much.
Yeah. There was another part of this conversation. I know it didn't make the cut into the notes, but I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah.
And I think it fits really well here, which is a part of this person's business was doing what his teammate, who's a virtual assistant, gave him in terms of leads. And these leads were one-time buys. Okay. And we talked about this a little bit this morning too over coffee, that these one-time buys, not unlike sales plans, if we're going to compare it, right? There's replens where it's not on sale. It doesn't have to be on sale.
It works even when it's not on sale.
And then there's sales plans, which is for me, it's those people who are all about the thrill of the chase, right? They love that I'm finding new things to buy every day. That's what
I think they know the sales happen regularly. Yeah. So it is a repeated process. It's just not the same as replens.
So what happened was his goal, it was to have a replens business. And he ended up getting a little distracted with the sales plans type stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And
this wasn't his teammate even. He said he was like stopping by a store saying, oh, this is on sale.
Yes. Okay, so I might as well pick it up while I'm here.
Yeah. Right? Because we always say no reason to walk by a $20 bill if you see it laying there.
That's right. And I'm not saying you should, but at some point that is not part of your core mission. And
then there's a cost.
And then it becomes a cost as opposed to, a real benefit to you.
It's a distraction. Oh, he doesn't prep and ship anymore, so he had to take this stuff all home and prep and ship.
Oh, that's right.
There's a couple hours spent at the store. Then there's another couple hours spent, which you're not good at anymore because you don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Prepping and shipping. Ask me how I know. Prepping and shipping. And then there's the cost, the capital that's out that you had planned to go into a repeatable process that you took out to do. There's a lot. I know we're just naming things, but I just want to understand that there's a lot more to that, including the distraction to getting off plan just because you saw a $20 bill. Make sure that $20 bill is worth what it's going to cost you.
To me, this is a goal. Goal is wins once. To me, this is a sales plans item. Okay.
And when you're building, this is a different answer. Okay. Absolutely a different answer when you're trying to get that first $10,000 a month in sales. But we're talking about going to the next level.
So $10,000 a month was a goal, and he checked that box, right?
Yeah.
But getting to $50,000 a month is a system. Okay. It's not about wanting it 5 times more. It's about building the machine that's actually going to make 50 the same way that the first machine made 10, right? It's ultimately a different machine. It's the same person though, same operator, same builder in this example. So anyway.
I want to say thank you to the person that helped us put this together as coaching session. So if we use your coaching session as an example, we want to thank you because your questions and your things that brought things to us to solve more and more problems for more and more people have been very valuable, and
Yes.
your inspiration.
Yes.
I mean,
absolutely.
So proud of so many people that we're working with right now. They find a way.
Yep.
And when he got his Section 3, he found a way.
Yep.
There is those who find success find a way. And he could have been just fine if he never got his business back.
This is why I have no doubt he's going to hit his goal of 50 and whatever he wants after that as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So when you're sitting there staring at a business that is already working, right, but you're wondering why you're stuck at 10 when you know that you could be doing 5 times more, what cures that?
Test more ASINs.
Test more ASINs.
Let's go test more ASINs.
See you soon, everyone.
Hey, before I let you go for the day, my good friend Jeff Schick is joining us for a couple minutes once a week or so, a great sponsor of this show, jeffschick.com, our resident expert for all things Amazon policy, legal questions. What's on your mind today, Jeff?
So we got a couple things to talk about, but the big one is counterfeit textbooks. So, everyone knows you're not allowed to sell counterfeits on Amazon or Walmart. But what people don't think about is that they forget about is that old phrase that if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And that really applies to textbooks as well. So we are seeing a rise of criminal enterprises based in Pakistan and India that are selling counterfeit textbooks to unsuspecting Amazon sellers in the United States. They generally all operate their websites. They look exactly the same. They just have different logos on them. They always are based out of Wyoming from a random registered agent and claim to have a random LLC in the US, which doesn't usually exist. But that's how they make their sites look more legitimate. So I'd say, first red flag when you're buying textbooks, first thing to think about, one, is it based in Wyoming? If it's based in Wyoming, you've got to be extra cautious. Same goes for any of the other states that are known for, having lots of registered agents. So there's, Wyoming, South Dakota, Nevada, Delaware. Those would be like the big ones that you would have to be, that you want to just stop and play it safe. The type of textbooks we're seeing that are being counterfeited are actually quite interesting. It's not a lot of like the biology textbooks and things that you'd find in a local school. Primarily what we're seeing is things that have to do with code enforcement. So construction related textbooks, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, fire protection, basically kind of like all the trades, so to speak, seem to be having a really big influx of counterfeit textbooks. So if you're finding those books and it's on a leads list, you got to be really careful to make sure that what you're buying is actually legitimate, because, if it seems too good to be true, chances are it probably is. And unfortunately, those suspensions are very difficult to come back from if Amazon catches you selling counterfeit books.
2 questions come to mind. First one is, can you help someone identify if their book source is legitimate or not? Is that part of the service you'd provide if I had you on retainer for a few dollars per month?
Yeah, absolutely. We routinely go on people's sites before they place an order, and we'll look at it with them and explain what we see and see what that way they can see from our point of view why we think something's legitimate or illegitimate. For instance, I think I told you the example a couple of months ago where we had a seller reach out and we're going to buy $1,500 worth of cosmetics from a really professional looking website that was based in Petersburg, Florida. And there is no Petersburg, Florida. There's St. Petersburg, Florida.
St. Petersburg, I've heard of, right.
But there's no Petersburg.
Okay.
And the zip code that they used was in California. So the address was totally fake because there's no 90210 in South Florida.
Exactly. Okay. So I got you there. We could just use you as a resource which I highly suggest everyone to do for a few dollars per month if you're serious at all about your business. The other question I had was, are any of these counterfeit books making their way into the traditional legitimate used book channel markets? And can you get in just as much trouble there? Meaning, should I just kind of be really careful about textbooks in general, which is what I've always told people, be super cautious with textbooks.
I would say I think they probably are, because when you think about it, the counterfeit books are being bought on these websites based in Pakistan and India. They're being shipped over to, sellers or maybe even end users, maybe people that are taking the classes. And then those books end up at these used book drives where, I've had seller clients of mine that buy textbooks and they'll say, oh yeah, we go to the local community college and we sit out there and we buy stuff. Well, if someone's selling a international electrical code book that's counterfeit that they bought from Pakistan, and you're the seller sitting out buying textbooks for pennies on the dollar at a community college, you might accidentally buy that textbook. The textbooks that are coming out of China, India, Pakistan, particularly Pakistan, they're very good. You can't really tell the difference. So
Right.
to the naked eye, at least. Now,
Right. But if a case is opened at Amazon, they will be able to tell the difference, and you're the one that's now on
exactly.
the line for selling.
And that's because a lot of these manufacturers now have invisible ink QR codes placed on strategic places. So like it might be on page 333 or, 212 or whatever it may be. And the book publisher knows exactly where to go look for that QR code. And when they shine the light on it and try to scan it with their scanner, there's no QR code. So they know the book is fake. So
What a game that's being played out there with counterfeit goods.
Right.
Wow. Which is why always know your source, always be sure that it's authorized. That's rule number one. As I like to say, my favorite 3 words when people are trying to determine if they've got a good source or not, ask the brand. If the brand doesn't tell you, if the publisher doesn't tell you, yep, that's a good place to buy our product, don't buy it there. Right. Just be safe.
Yeah.
Good tip.
But, many textbooks really take an extra hard look at because, I like to tell people, when you're evaluating a product, look at your source and ask yourself, if this is the last product I sell on Amazon, is this worth it?
Is it worth the risk?
Is it worth the risk? And unfortunately, for a lot of these sellers buying these counterfeit textbooks, that is the last product they sell on Amazon.
Wow.
And so,
well, I appreciate the red caution flag, and we don't have a whole lot of people who are all in with books, but use extra caution with those textbooks. There's a lot of counterfeits flying around out there. Good tip today, Jeff. Well, hey, can I have you back next week, man? Is that good?
You got it. Sounds good.
Appreciate it,
We'll
man.
be here.
For those who've never met Jeff, get over to jeffschick.com, just like the razor. Put he and his team on retainer for just a few dollars per month, as hundreds of us in our community already have. You'll be so glad you did. Thanks, Jeff. Go ahead.
Also, remember, I don't know if you guys remember this. We actually have this special for PAC members that if you haven't been a client of ours and if you have been a client, you're not a client anymore, and you want to sign up, Jim has a discount code that makes your first month just $1. So really, protect your business for, 3 cents a day. If you can't come up with 3 cents a day, then we've got some problems in the business. So
absolutely. Well, yeah, we'll put that code in the show notes for everyone today. Thanks for the reminder. We need to be sure to include that anytime we mention you guys. Great offer. All right, buddy. See you next time.
See ya. Thank you.
Bye for now.